Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. And before we begin, I'd like to thank staff that visited me this morning and returned the dictaphone shaving machine that's been on loan from me to the Steveston Museum for the last 40 years. It's in my office right now, right beside my modern ultra high-tech scanner. It looks great. So thanks for that. And that shows what's happening. We're getting changes at the Steveston Museum. We're getting changes at the London Farm. And we're going to have a lot of fun this year. So, somebody like to move the minutes?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary, carried. First item is the application by the City of Richmond for a heritage alteration permit at 6511 Dyke Road, London Farm. So, Rebecca. I can't hear you.
Yeah. Sorry. I have nothing further to add to the report and happy to take any questions.
Okay, any questions from committee? Any comments from committee?
Yeah, Harold, just a quick question on it. Do we have to consult anything on changing anything with the Harbor Authority? Just out of curiosity, given that nobody knows where the dike is?
Yeah, I don't think. Actually, I think the way it is we're just dealing within the dike, aren't we, Rebecca?
Well, okay. Depends what year you pick the dike, Harold. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they don't know it.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, that this current phase of work that's proposed is well within the property limits. We are looking to coordinate future work that's along the entrance of the site and adjacent to the current dike in future applications. So we will investigate your comment a little further to see how that may work.
Well, the river used to run straight through the front door there of the original house, and I'll leave it at that. But anyhow, move the recommendation.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair to staff, just I think two questions. The first one, as the councillor liaison for Heritage Commission, I appreciated seeing it discussed at the Heritage Commission meeting a little while back. It was mentioned here in the report. I think it was the December meeting. Yeah, so I just applaud that and hope that more communication occurs with the London Heritage Society, Heritage Commission, and perhaps others who might have valuable insight. So thanks for keeping that door open. On page 11, it has the list of items. My first question is about the old signs, removing old signs, removing old features. Are we taking care of potentially removing them so that they can be placed somewhere else around the city? There's areas of Richmond that don't have a lot of actual heritage structures, but there's public space where heritage structures could go and help tell the story. I'm thinking out in Hamilton, at where the city owns some land adjacent to the school district at Hamilton Elementary School and Community Center. Perhaps London heritage features could be moved there and to try and recreate or to display so that local residents know about other parts of Richmond. And also it might inspire what was born in London Farms to spread elsewhere in the city. So staff can comment on that.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I apologize. The term old in this case is more referring to within the last 20 years. So there are park signs that you might see in any other park that are just deteriorated and in poor condition, or they're interpretive signage of the park that needs to be updated with more current historical thinking. So they're not original to the site in any way. Otherwise, we would definitely want to keep them on site and display them that way.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I know I read the word old signs. I interpret it very different from most people around me, so appreciate that. Thanks.
Linda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through to staff. Well, thank you for a very good report. As you know, this is a much-loved heritage spot, and many people go visit there all through the year, so I'm sure these upgrades will even promote more visitors to the site. And, you know, just looking at some of the work that's going to be done, and it ties into what we were talking about last night, the application for Bee City Canada certification. So it's really nice to see that you'll be reinstating the beehives and adding rose bushes and lavender to offer pollination opportunities. And I think that's really great. Can you tell me, if this is approved, what is the timeline for work?
Through the chair to Councillor McPhail, we have budget for this year. Some items are ready to go upon approval of this permit. Larger items will require additional planning to get the construction work in place. But my understanding is that the majority of work should be completed within this fiscal year.
That's great. Good news. Thanks very much.
Okay, I just want to make a comment. I think it's a great report, and it's good to see London Farm moving again. It's sort of been stagnant for almost decades, and to see this going ahead this year is great. I'm scanning about 1,000 old photographs, and I think I've got one of the dikes I'll send to you. Anyway, it's moved and seconded. All those in favor of the report? Contrary? Carried. Okay, next item is the library in review. Another good report. And who's?
Hi, Harold. It's Susan Walters from.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the report. Yeah. I can't find you on this.
Neither can I. I don't see myself either, but I'm there.
I was looking for you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for having me here today. Oh,
there you are.
Thank you for having me here today. You've got the report in front of you. It's been another exciting year at the library, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have today.
Okay, Michael?
Thank you. Through the chair, just one question. The part that really stood out to me was in the report on page 36 at the bottom, the last paragraph there. It said that the initiative of having fine-free, so there's no late fees kind of thing, that led to 10,000 hours of staff reallocation. That's incredible. That must have been quite a surge if it came all at once, starting February. So I assume that 10,000 hours is since February to now. How did we deal with that? Did some get redirected outside of the library temporarily, or were we able to utilize all the libraries and services available and put people, as it says here, in the welcoming and connecting with the community?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, what we were able to do was redeploy people. So a lot of staff time on the front lines was spent answering questions about customer accounts and addressing late fines as they were coming in and going back and forth. And so by being able to redirect staff to help people find more materials as they're coming into the library, welcome them into our spaces, and yes, redirect some of that staffing also to efficiencies in the back room with our new sorter to make sure materials are getting out faster. So we're really redeploying staff. It's not so much that we have additional staff, it's redeploying those hours and ensuring that they are more effectively being used and met in the community.
Great, thanks. Just through the chair, then. Thanks for that. I know in a school where there's only 2 librarian staff, when they can have a third, it's amazing the amount of things that can be redesigned and actually address what the clients of the day want to use that space for. So, yeah, I appreciate that, and I'd like to see more visuals. So that I thought maybe today there was a video coming of the review. So in the next video, I'll look for some examples of that welcoming. Thanks.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, somebody like to move the report?
Recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Okay, the next one is the art program, the utility box art wrap, and that's Villanova.
Juliana.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm here to present the report, and I have nothing to add to it. I'm happy to
Okay.
answer any questions.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting when you pop going around the city when you find one. Yeah, Michael.
Thank you. Through the chair, just comment on this one. Well, perhaps a question at the end. But I always really appreciate communities I go to in the neighboring area and kind of looking for themes and the heritage features that are displayed on these very precious devices that power so many devices, electric equipment in our homes and businesses. So my comment, I expressed or shared the total here, where our financial impact on page 44 is an annual budget of $10,000, and I'm talking to others around the cost of the mural program, and when I talk to just like an average person who's not involved in the art community, but when they see it, they're like, wow, that the amount of money is actually surprisingly low when they think of how much should go towards the artist. So in these cases, I'm sure some of these will end up being photographs that are wrapped around and artist's drawings. So I just wanted to comment on, I really appreciate the amount we're starting out with here. And just like the fire department does with our fire extinguishers, like we service all of them. And I think all of the BC Hydro power stations need to be serviced. And I think this is a critical part that we should be supporting and going forward with the expense of $10,000 per year. So thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Andy.
Yeah, thanks, and through the chair. These are beautiful. There's no question about it, and I enjoy all the different themes. Just occurs to me though, when you don't have art wrapped around them, often you see vandalism or tagging of different boxes. So I thought this probably cuts down on that, and I just wanted to confirm that it does, in fact. And I think even tagging artists respect the art kind of thing. And then, so you must see an overall decrease perhaps in graffiti and vandalism when you have this kind of art project. Is that right?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, yes, we've definitely seen a decrease in vandalism and graffiti. And we also, when we do work with artists to create the designs, we encourage them to do more busy designs rather than blank single colored, so that further deters from having a canvas, if you will, for graffiti.
Yeah, win-win. Thank you.
Okay, so we'd like to move the motion?
Moved.
All those in favor? Contrary, carried. Okay, that gives us the manager's report. And what do we got to manage?
We've got three, starting with Alex. Thanks.
Good afternoon, committee. Alex Korniski, Manager Parks Programs, and I'd like to provide a update on the Snow Angels program. This past holiday season, the city saw a significant snowfall over a number of days, which we were treated to, of course, a white Christmas, which was great, at least in my household with all the kids. Throughout that period, Richmond residents stepped up to help out their fellow citizens who require assistance with clearing snow at their private homes. This included clearing the public walkways fronting private homes and walkways up to their front doors. 40 residents registered for assistance through the Snow Angels programs, and they were helped out by 36 volunteers who were registered and paired with those 40 residents. There are 10 residents currently on the wait list as we don't have enough volunteers to pair with the demand from residents for snow clearing. As I said, the program was activated 4 times this season over that snow period during the holidays, with volunteers contributing over 160 volunteer hours. We will continue to be on standby throughout the season should it snow again, even if it's in July. Volunteers are provided shovels, snow melt and vests, and a half-hour volunteer orientation session is provided by city staff, which includes a safety talk as well as setting out expectations. If you have any specific questions, I am available, as well as my colleague, Magnus Sinclair.
Michael.
Thank you. My only question, one thing, if you could repeat the amount of those on the wait list. And then my question about those on the wait list, were the 36 volunteers directed, like if you have time or like off your volunteer shift, here's a couple other places I could use. Did we provide anything for additional support for those?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we have 10 residents on the wait list, and we have 36 volunteers currently helping out 40 residents registered in the program. With the follow-up question, I will defer to my colleague, Mr. Sinclair.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, when we do contact our volunteers, we include the residents on the wait list so that if they have extra capacity, they're asked to go out and attend these residents as well.
Okay. Anybody else? Who's next?
Thank you so much. Biljana Volkova, Public Art Planner. I'm here to give an update on the Blue Cabin. Yesterday at around 1 p.m., the Blue Cabin Floating Artist Residency arrived at Imperial Landing in Steveston Village. The 1,200 square foot, 170-ton structure was towed by a tugboat through Falls Creek and into Strait of Georgia, passed around Point Grey and Iona Terminus, and headed up the Fraser River on a 7-hour journey to Steveston. Imperial Landing will provide a compelling new vantage point for artists and public to explore and celebrate both the heritage and contemporary creative cultures of the region. The first artist of the residency is slated to be Musqueam artist Deborah Sparrow. Details are to be announced soon. City staff is currently working with the Blue Cabin staff to prepare the cabin for public programming. Happy to answer any questions.
That's great. It was on the news last night. I forget which channel. I was watching it leave Vancouver. Any question? Oh, Michael.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. I didn't catch it on the news. I wish I knew it was happening yesterday. I hesitated. I almost wanted to take my 9-foot boat out into the river, and I probably would have seen it if I would have made the decision. So anyhow, it was awfully foggy. So I'm glad they made it. Thanks.
Okay, any more questions? I look forward to see it in operation. Next.
Lisa Youk, Manager of Art Services, and I'm here to tell you about the Richmond Art Gallery. They opened a new exhibition last weekend titled Nourish, and it explores everyday acts such as sharing a meal or connecting with nature as essential moments of self-care and nourishment, something I'm sure we could all use these days. In connection with this exhibition, the gallery has partnered with Richmond Has Heart to present an expansive set of public programs exploring food culture and memory in Richmond. As well, the public's invited to share recipes for a digital cookbook. Nourish is on display until April 3rd, and details can be found online at richmondartgallery.org.
Okay, thank you very much. Is that it?
Sorry, we had one more. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Elizabeth.
Michael had his hand up.
Okay.
Sorry, mine is just a couple other questions of staff if it's not mentioned in the next report.
Okay. Next report, and then we'll hear Michael.
Thank you. I thought in follow-up to my memo of last week, I would give a very brief update. As recently as this afternoon, Dr. Bonnie has provided 2 more updates in relation to the provision of our programs and services, and that is, first of all, that the proof of vaccination process will continue through until the end of June. At this point is what she's announced, unless we see a significant improvement in the pandemic status. And another good news item, at least from our perspective, is we will be allowed to reintroduce tournaments for children and youth only earlier than we expected. That's just been announced that they can start as of February 1st rather than the middle of February. So those are 2 very recent developments.
Okay, thank you. Michael.
Thank you. A couple of my points were actually related to that item, so I'm glad we had that update first. I'm attending as the council liaison this evening the Arenas Community Association. So I wanted to hear if there was any comments on how the vaccine passport process has been going. I know I'm a regular visitor of the Oval and the Richmond Ice Center, and so I'm familiar with the process. But I'm not sure if staff could comment on how well they've been equipped with staff to be at all doors and cover the hours at all the facilities. Thanks.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I think it's been going very well. I think the feedback that we are getting from patrons and from the RACA board is that the Richmond is going above and beyond in ensuring that we have a safe environment at all of our arenas and that we're diligently checking people as they're coming in.
Okay. Thanks. Through the chair, if I may, I have a few more alternate items then. The next one is, it's just maybe staff will provide a memo on this one, but skating in parks when it's frozen. There was lots happening. People said it was the best they've ever had in Richmond in their entire life. And those are people who lived here and are now raising kids and just seeing the energy. So why, just a full perspective, why did we used to flood fields? What's the reason we don't do it now? Might we do it in the future? Are there facilities where we may create space that under the very right conditions will have staff there to supervise and to close off when it's off limits or off hours? But skating outdoors in park space, could staff comment, could that be provided, or a summary on that?
Through your worship, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we'll have to come back with some further background for you. I'm not familiar how long ago it was when we've done this, but a bit of context is the challenge for us is really the unknown seasonality of it all. With the park system, we had a great cold snap this year for a couple of weeks where it's very conducive of that. But other years we may have that for a couple of days. It's just so intermittent, and then how do we manage that? How do we police it, etc.? So we'll have to come back to it with a bit of broader context.
Okay, so is there direction through the chair? Then is there a direction that staff acknowledge they'll report back on that? We don't need a motion or any referral on that. We can, or should we do that to the chair perhaps? Shall I make a referral motion, or is there direction enough to come back?
I don't know, Todd, could you just simply take that under advisement, or do we need a referral?
No, we can take that under advisement. It's fine.
Okay, yeah, great, thank you.
I'll just wait a minute, Michael. I'll jump in on that. Actually, I'm not sure whether we actually put water in the parks, or whether it was we used to get a lot more rain before it froze up. I know that after we built Gary Point Park back in the 80s, we used to get a lot of water in the flat area, and it would freeze up, and we had a lot of skating there, but I think it was just simply natural ice. I'm not sure if the city added water to it or not, but maybe staff can ask somebody others than staff whether we did or not, but it may have just been natural.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair. Certainly up until a few years ago, we did flood Gary Point in particular, but I think there's a broader question around some of the other spaces that we saw being used during this cold snap that we can certainly review the overall picture of outdoor skating in Richmond and come back with some more information.
Yeah. Michael. Yeah, and just one final comment on that. I know with legal department, I think that's one of the reasons is the legality around people getting injured in an unsupervised frozen surface. So if we could just, anyhow, thanks. Last question then, or item, is related to staff recognition. I'm talking about auxiliary staff who work in our park and rec facilities. So just recently, I was speaking with Doug Neal. He just retired after 25 years with the city as an auxiliary worker, and he put in. He's worked with 6 different managers at the city. He's gone through 3 different Zamboni cycles, as he called them. He's done over 30,000 ice cleans in Richmond. He's swept over 1,000 miles, he figures, of hallways and dressing rooms. And he just retired over 25 years, no recognition. Some, I think we used to, or was it only full-time staff and not auxiliary? So again, could this come back as a memo? How do we recognize staff for their contributions when full-time staff are away? We're pulling in auxiliaries from all over to fill in. So hearing his story, I was just, and he's retired, anyhow. Could staff comment on that now? And could that, if there is history to it, or maybe Harold could even explain the history on it now, but that's just something that just came to light. Thanks.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, certainly we do have a staff recognition policy and then administrative procedures to support that policy that we follow, and I can provide some more detail to members of council, and we can have a review and see if there's perhaps an element that might be missing around auxiliary staff that certainly do contribute significantly to the operation, in particular, of our community facilities and our parks and across the system. So, yeah, happy to have a look at it, and we'll get more information back to you.
Great, thank you. That's all.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, I've got one. First, I want to thank staff for the updates on the Parks Capital projects and the Richmond food hubs, and I think we'll probably discuss these, the food hub at least a little bit or later on, but it's a great report. I do have a question, however. I've been giving some thought to what's happening at the garden site at Number 5 Road, and I'm wondering if staff have thought about the city of the BC government bought a strip of land off of all the owners beside the highway, and it struck me that we should find out whether or not they're actually going to utilize that land. And we may be able to acquire or lease it from the province and have a lane to connect all the farmlands together. So it's just a thought, and maybe somebody could look into that. Okay. Anything else from committee? I guess it's time to go.
Move adjournment.
All those in favor? Contrary carries. Thanks for great reports and a short meeting. Take care.
Thank you.